this week's Torah portion, Hakadosh Baruch Hu tells Yaakov, Jacob, our forefather, "V'samti et zaracha kechol hayam." I will indeed allow your children to multiply like the sand upon the shore. And it's interesting, the Klei Yakar explains that there are three specific figures or figuratives that God uses with our forefathers to describe the promise that he gives over to their children, to their future generations. One is Kochvei HaShamayim. God talks to Avram and promises him that the future generations will be vast like the stars in the heavens. Second, Kechol Hayam, as we just spoke about, God tells Jacob that the future children and his descendants will spread forth like the sands on the shore of the sea. And finally, there is the derivative or the explanation or the figure of speech whereby God talks to Avram about his children being compared to Afar Haaretz, the dirt of the earth. Why these three specific descriptions? The Klei Yakar explains that in actuality, all three of these descriptions describe different periods of Jewish history. There are times when Jewish people will be like Kochvei HaShamayim, like the stars above, shining, and leaders of their generation, leaders of the places which they decide to inhabit. And indeed, they will be respected and revered. But then there are times of history, Jewish history, certainly the Jewish history as we know it, that is so unpredictable and that invites with it very often persecution, when they will be like Chol Hayam, the sand from the shore. Sand from the shore is washed away or attempted to be washed away by the waves of the ocean. The ocean comes in, it sweeps onto the sand, but the sand stays fast. It does not disappear. It appears to erode, but it remains the same. And so too there are times in Jewish history, says the Klei Yakar, that there are enemies who try to persecute us, who try to put us in a downtrodden position, but nonetheless we stay fast. We might look like we are eroded and broken, but we still remain. And finally, Afar Haaretz. Indeed, there are times like a Holocaust when we feel like the dirt of the land, when we are completely, utterly enslaved, persecuted, and downtrodden, and we experience angst and pain and difficulty. And even in those times, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promises our forefathers, I, Hashem, will be with you. I will be able to deliver you out of the bowels of destruction, even when you feel, even when it appears historically, that you are compared to the dust of the earth. This is a very beautiful take and a very beautiful understanding and comment from the Klei Yakar with regards to Jewish history. But perhaps it can also be adapted and be viewed with regards to the persona, a person's own personal personality, a person's own individual. For example, there are times when a person themselves will feel like Kochvei HaShamayim, like the stars above. They are radiant and they are influential, and they are aggressive and dynamic, charismatic, and socially accepted. And then there are times when they are like the Chol Hayam, when there is a feeling that people are against me, when I'm dealing with challenges and difficulties. And nonetheless, I try to continue to survive regardless of all of the waves that crash upon me, regardless of feeling as if everything is coming down upon me. I nonetheless want to and desire to remain steadfast and the same, and to continue to persist with my life. And finally, there is the most difficult time, a time when sometimes there are certain people who might feel like Afar Haaretz, like the dirt of the earth, whereby they just feel completely worthless, invaluable, and completely penetrable. They feel like they don't have something to contribute, like they have nothing or no hope for their future. These are people who certainly can be described as people who might suffer from mental health challenges and illnesses, whereby they feel like they are completely and utterly worthless, in a state of despair and desperation. There is no question that there were times when Gili, our dear Gili, felt like Afar Haaretz, downtrodden, lost, without friends, without hope, without aspirations, and without a future. But it's important for us, even as we reflect upon this past week, last week marking her Azkara, 2 years since Gila's passing, it's important for us to also relish and to understand and appreciate and embrace that Gili was Kochvei HaShamayim. She certainly represented so much time during the majority of her life, her short life. She represented the stars of the heavens. She shone upon people, she impressed people, and she brought people up from their state of despair. She was always there to show love, warmth, affection, and to give people a positive outlook in their lives. I hope and pray that historically and individually, even when we see people around us who might appear like they are lost, who might appear that they feel that they are afar haaretz, that we can remind ourselves based on our nation's history that they should be reminded that they may be eroded and that they may be downtrodden and they may be even feel persecuted. But in the end of the day, they are Kochvei HaShamayim. They shine like the stars of heaven above, and they are capable of once again picking themselves up and continuing to influence themselves and to be influential in this world to the best of their capacity. Thank you, Gila, for reminding us of this message. It appears to be the Torah's way, the parsha way, the Jewish way, and indeed, the Gila way. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you once again for joining us. Please remember to consider subscribing to the page below and send me your comments. I will get back to you. Have a great day.